And we're live, Juglones. How we doing? I see a couple people are excited for this one. I'm excited for this one because I'm going to learn. I actively didn't learn anything about slime molds before the show. So I'm going into this a little more informed than some of you. So because, you know, the guest tonight just can't not inform you about slime molds. So you're going to learn stuff because I'm already I'm already learning stuff, I promise. I've got a bit of a sore throat thing going on, so I apologize. I'm scratchier than normal. Hopefully, this cup of diabetes will help. So this is wild berry liquid Skittles. It's like a sport drink. I'm thinking it's like a Gatorade, maybe. I don't know, but I do this for you guys. So I couldn't find any snacks. If you guys have links to cool snacks from Japan or something, let me know. But we're going to see cool videos of slime mold. Well, a video of slime mold, a bunch of pictures of slime mold, some flowers, apparently, from slime mold, flowering bodies. And we're going to learn all about it. So let's bring our guest. We got Austin from Austin's Stella's Springtails. And there we go. Wait a minute. You're not Austin? Surprise, guys. We got Ben Gruver.
Hey.
Ben Gruber's here, and Austin. All right. Double guest. I told you we might have a surprise, and we did. So literally the last minute. Literally, I messaged Austin this afternoon and was like, are you ready to go? And then he started a chat with Ben and I together, and he was like, yeah, he's going to be here. Like I was supposed to know. Yeah. So it was a surprise to me, too. Austin just was like I was supposed to know. He's like, yeah, he's going to be there, dude. Moon's here.
Mysterious man.
You missed who? Me? What are you doing? You got your cup? Are you ready to show off your cup of slime mold?
Oh, yeah.
The before pictures? So we're going to see a live culture, how it is now. Oh, is this the piece that you just prepared?
Yeah.
So this is off of a bigger culture. Do you have the other one? I want to show them all the spider web action going on there. So this is the difference. This is it. You guys can see that pretty well, I hope. Hold on a second. Hold on just a second here, bud.
I started it this morning just so we could get a clean culture.
This one started this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have another. You cut that corner off and put it in a new setup. All right. So you guys take a look at that now. Get that in your head. There's a little, Moon's always here. There's a little pizza slice of slime mold. Now we're going to put an oat in there, and we're going to check in on it. Austin's going to show us. We're going to check in on it periodically. Looks like a couple oats. That's one hungry culture.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oat. 5 oat.
5 oats. All right. So we're going to be able to see it move, or that it has moved. Oh wait, you put it on there directly?
Yep, and then we'll see it cover it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Moving, typically, you see that after maybe 2-3 hours.
Yeah, we could go that long. I think we're good. I think 2 or 3 hours. You good for that, Ben? You good?
7, 8, 9, 10.
3 hours tops.
Got all night.
Let's see how fueled I am after this. We're going to try this out first. So hopefully, Sandy's here. I hope Laura came back. We got 2 viewers. So it smells exactly like wild berry Skittles. I don't know if you guys have had those before. They're amazing, but oh man, this is like Kool-Aid that you made as a kid when your mom wasn't watching, and you made it with like the 4 cups of sugar instead of 2. And now you're an adult. You can make it with like 1 cup of sugar, and you're fine. 12-hour live stream. Moon, I'm not you, man. I can't be doing those road trips. I can't be doing those 12-hour road trips, dude. So, so slime molds. What is it? Is it a fungus?
Slime molds, yeah. So they're commonly fall under like mycology, so like the study of fungus, but they're not actually really related to mushrooms or fungus or anything like that. They're more closely related to like amoebas and like the little single cell things.
Okay.
And so they're basically a huge single celled organism.
That is wild. Now, the extent of my knowledge is like, I've seen the videos where they tried to like reorganize the Japanese subway system
Right,
or whatever, and then you see that they perfectly did it. They like matched engineers, so which is amazing that it's just like that instinctual or hardwired. And it took us how many years and uses of CAD and computers to figure out what slime molds knew. So that's just crazy to me that they had the same organizational skills that took us however many thousands of years to develop. So as a single-celled organism, it's so confusing because you have obviously it's multi-cells.
There's one cell. So if so, when you're looking at a plasmodium, like
Yeah.
the whole orange thing, like in the culture that Austin showed, the
Yeah.
whole yellow thing, that's all a single cell, just one cell.
So then you just broke it. You just broke the cell into.
Right. And actually, when you do break it, like if you do break one of the strands, you can see some liquid, sort of like yellow liquid, sort of bleeding out. But then it heals itself, and it's fine. It doesn't seem to bother all that much.
So awesome.
Yeah, the whole thing is a single cell, but it has a lot of nuclei in it, so hundreds or thousands of nuclei. And so it actually, so when it grows, the nuclei inside the cell divide, and so you get twice as many nuclei.
That's so gross.
It's still just one enclosing cell.
Okay. That's excellent. See, this is all good news to me. This is all new. I thought I had heard something about the single cell, but that didn't stick apparently. That makes it so much more impressive.
Right. Yeah. So you can have a single cell that's like like a meter, meter in diameter or something. It can be a huge.
So then, okay, I'm gonna watch this video. I'm gonna show this video because I want you to tell me what's happening because I don't really know. It's cool, but I don't know what it is. All right, let's see. We're gonna. Why is it the chocolate slime mold? That's not what I want to see. We don't want to see Red Dead Redemption. We want to see this. Where's the video? Here we go. Sorry, the videos went right to playing. Hold on. I'm still not good at this part. Here we go. Okay. Here's the video. All right, guys. So this is a piece of cork bark in the middle. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest is paper towel.
Okay. And one obviously is older than the other.
Right.
You've got this like picked up coffee paper towel, among other things. And then the cork bark. Does it hide? Does it use it as a hide?
No, so I actually put that in because I was thinking that this might want to fruit. So the thing that they do after the plasmodium is form the fruiting bodies, which is what has the spores. And I was thinking this one might be starting to fruit, so I put something in there for it to climb up onto to see if it would fruit on it.
Okay.
It turned out to not fruit.
But it didn't. It got real upset. Watch this. This time lapse, obviously. How many hours did this take for it to?
That's probably about 10 hours worth of footage.
No, this part. Wait a minute. I want to go back to this one part here. So when you look at this veiny bit, is this probably still connected under here?
Yeah.
And then it separates.
Right.
So like right about here, it's basically separated.
Right.
Wild. I can't see comments right now, but I hope you guys are seeing this. Oh, here we go. Let's move it over to the other monitor that I have. So, yeah, we got Frank is here. Laura, we got 3 people. This thing always lies to me. It says we have 3 people, but I'm pretty sure there's 4 people watching this right now. I can't get enough of this. This is hypnotic, basically. Yeah. So it'll move off of this old paper towel onto the new one.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal. I put you have to change the substrate every once in a while. It kind of depends on how fast it goes and everything. So for this one, I put the new paper towel and then just cut off the part of the old paper towel with the slime mold on it, and put it into on the new paper towel.
And then it moves to the new paper towel, and then you just keep doing that. Keep doing that.
You just keep doing that, and I potentially indefinitely. I'm not sure if they have. I'm not sure if the plasmodium will ever really truly die. I think it can kind of keep going indefinitely as long as it doesn't fruit. Once they form the fruiting bodies, that's basically the end of the life of the plasmodium.
So then the fruiting bodies, like, Okay, so let's show those guys. Okay, let's see. Let's minimize that. We can get that out of the way. Let's share. We're going to stop sharing that. Okay, all right. All right, sorry. Hold on a second, guys. Again, I'm still a baby with some of this stuff. All right, we're going to share this. Okay, this is the guy. This is the guy who said is outside of your house right now.
Not right now. It was a couple of weeks ago. It
Okay.
it only lasted about like a couple of days, a few days, and it's completely gone now. I took
Okay.
some of it, and there was also isopods eating on it, and some rain washed some of it away. You know.
Okay, so it's not going to be there for long.
Right.
And this is it in the crack of the wood.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think the plasmodium was growing kind of inside the wood. There's probably like a little bit of rotten wood in there. It was kind of there, and then what you see there is actually the fruiting body. So it sort of came out into the open to form the fruiting body, so that its spores could get caught by the wind and everything and disperse.
So then that's how we get more. Is it just blow like this part's like a fungus?
Right.
Kind of. Okay.
Well, same idea.
Similarities. Okay. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that one is in one of my springtail cultures. So that's the slime mold that I'm feeding to the
yeah, there they are.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, and here they are. They're loving it. Okay. So did you bring? Is this suspended part? Is this where the slime mold is?
Right. So I put a little suspended feeder in there, just so that the springtails don't get on the slime covered oats. So that's typically how I transfer things around. We can talk about that a little bit later. But
okay.
If you go to the one that's like the purple fruiting bodies, it's like the wide shot. Maybe one or two more. One more. That one, yeah. So that's the fruiting bodies of that black slime mold, the video that we just saw.
Okay.
So that's a species called Metatrichia vesparia.
Okay.
It has the black plasmodium, which is kind of the active slime that moves around. And then once it decides that it's gotten big enough for whatever, it decides to fruit, and so it turns all of its biomass, all of that plasmodium, and it sends up these fruiting bodies, and then they contain lots of little spores, and so the fruiting bodies will dry out, and then the wind sort of blows the spores everywhere, and so that's how they disperse.
Okay, so these aren't these look a lot like little cannons, but they're not little cannons. They're more like if you had poppies and they get that rattle business at the end. Yeah. But on a micro scale, Yeah.
They'll just kind of dry out and start turning to dust, basically. And then by the wind.
And that's your spores that are going to bring them back.
Right.
This is kind of pretty in a weird way.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite slime mold pictures that I've taken so far.
I mean, it's a great picture. Is this part of it down here? This little white?
No, I think that's some type of mold, like a fungal mold.
Macro stuff is so fun. So what?
So the fruiting bodies they're probably maybe 2 or 3 millimeters tall, just to give a sense of scale.
That's impressive. That's impressive considering. Fantastic. And it likes to climb up onto things so that it can dry out, right? So it's not going to dry out on that paper towel. Okay.
It will, but it prefers to find somewhere dry if it can.
Okay. This is another picture of it. I just think this is so weird. On the macro level, it's like some alien landscape.
Yeah. So lots of texture there. And that one's a lot of the time this species, the fruiting bodies are just kind of a plain black. So I was really happy to see this particular fruiting. It was just some gorgeous colors on it.
Yeah, it almost looks like photoshopped because you've got you've got a red base, red and orange, up into like this black here, and then this like iridescent purple.
Yeah.
It's just wild. It's like some kind of coral or something. Looks like a burnt mulberry. Yep. Frank, he's got some comments. What's that?
The mold is cute.
Yeah.
The mold is cute.
The little pinwheel.
He's just chilling.
This part is, it is like a little pinwheel.
Yeah.
I don't think you would ever see that either without this. Without going in for this, you probably, well, maybe you did notice it, but I can't. I don't believe you could see this detail. Obviously, it would look like a cat hair or something.
Right. But yeah, so after this, so these are the fruiting bodies, and so they'll contain the spores. So once the spores get dispersed, once they find the right conditions, the spores germinate, and it's basically kind of like a little egg, and then a little single celled amoeba sort of hatches from the spore, and it will kind of go around and do its thing, and it stays just as like a little microscopic single celled amoeba initially. And so that is, at that stage of its life, it's haploid, which means that it has one set of chromosomes, and so it doesn't have both sets yet.
Okay.
And so this is sort of equivalent to like the sperm and the egg when you're talking about animals, where it has like just the one copy of the chromosome from the parent, so it doesn't have both.
Okay.
And so what happens then is once two compatible amoeba find each other, they combine, and that's basically where the sexual combination happens. And so it takes the chromosomes from the two parents, because they're both offspring from two different parents, and combines into the one organism.
That's wild.
And so then once it combines, then that's when the plasmodia starts forming. So that's when you start getting the larger single cell organism.
Okay, so they start taking off once they're like fertilized, I guess.
Yeah. And then
So
then the plasmodium does its thing, and it goes around. So they mostly eat other other microorganisms, so bacteria and anything that it can basically it basically sort of encapsulates its food, so any sort of food particles or other microorganisms, and then it secretes digestive fluids or enzymes and digests those things. And then it grows bigger and kind of moves around and does its thing.
Oh, Frank wants to know what would happen if they got inside his lungs.
Not a whole lot. I've read reports of people breathing in spores. They disturb some spores, and there's a big cloud, and nothing really happened to them. The spores, they're not really toxic like some fungus spores can be, like mold spores and everything. They're not going to really cause you any sort of health issues or anything like that. The slime molds, they're not toxic, they're not poisonous. They're pretty innocuous in general.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So they're not dangerous. So go and huff some slime mold.
That's probably not recommended, but I don't think you would necessarily get any bad anything bad would happen.
Here's my policy. If someone is dumb enough to do that, because I mentioned it as jokingly, that's out of my hands. It's out of my hands. Time to eat some. All right, Frank, get some. I can't imagine.
So there's actually some parts of the world where they'll find, like sort of young versions of the fruiting bodies before they're fully developed. And they'll take them and they'll fry them and eat them. So there are cultures that actually eat the slime molds.
See, look at that. I don't know what you would season it with. I wonder what that tastes like.
Reportedly like peanut butter.
Like peanut butter, fried slime mold,
like fried eggs with peanut butter or something. It's I don't know. I've never tried it. So. Well,
all right. So you're not that serious about your hobby.
If I found one, I would be up for trying it. Like if I was, if I was in the area and that happened, I wouldn't be opposed to trying it.
I would absolutely try it. I know Jedi would. I know Green Jedi Monkey would. 100%. 100% he would try it. That guy will eat anything. So this one I like too. This doesn't even look like, it's like some kind of weird fruit you'd find in an Asian market.
Yeah, so this is actually the same species as the purple one. So this one is sort of nicely colored as well, but the colors are a little bit different.
What are these red flecks? Is that part of the slime mold, or is that?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's some part of like the inner part of the slime mold that's kind of come out, like some of the inner fluids or something that's kind of dried out, and turned red. I'm not entirely sure.
It's just wild. It's like this weird tree stump. And then these guys. Yeah. I still have ants that escaped all over my desk. Okay. I had an escape a couple months ago, and there's still probably a good 100 down here. Just loose. And this is an example of that feeder.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can all the orange are all the little springtails that are feeding on the slime mold.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny. Austin, are you feeding your orange Cheetos, your Cheeto dust?
Oh yeah, no. So that is a Veterinary Gisele. That's a different orange species.
Right.
I mean, I just said orange Cheeto dust. You can say whatever you want.
No Cheeto. No Cheeto dust.
So these aren't the label. These aren't the natives.
No. Well, they are native.
Right.
They're native.
Oh, okay.
They're different than the ones that are commonly sold as orange springtails.
Okay. All right. Is there a little film around this? The lip of this?
That's a climbing barrier that I use.
Yeah. What do you use? Teflon? Is it the? It's not Teflon, but you know what I mean.
It's actually fumed silica. So if you put hydrophobic fumed silica and you dissolve it in some ethanol, and then apply that with like a paintbrush or something and let it dry, then things just any small invertebrate generally can't climb on it. So it's good for spiders and springtails and anything like that.
As an ant keeper, I'm always looking for options. So I've had a huge success with just talcum powder and alcohol. So, what is this little contraption you have? You made this.
Yeah, so it's 3D printed. So it's just a little arm that kind of hangs off of the side of the enclosure. There's some a couple of magnets there on the side to hold it up.
That's what I'm looking at. Okay.
Right, and then there's the cup to hold the slime covered oats.
Okay.
The slime will actually sort of send tendrils down from the suspended feeder down onto the substrate or whatever.
And that's what we were seeing earlier. This this right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the tendrils falling down. And so that's helpful because it lets because the oats have to be taken out eventually. Like after a couple of days, they start getting like really moldy and nasty, and you have to take them out. And if you just have the oats down on the substrate, they'll be covered in springtails. The springtails will be trying to get all the little last remnants of slime and everything. And so it just makes it hard to kind of get out the oats without getting out the springtails and everything.
Sure.
Having them up suspended just makes it a lot easier to get them out.
Smart.
Yes, Frank. It is very possible. Springtails do have morphological genetics and differences.
Are you talking about Frank? Are you talking about springtails, or are you talking about?
He said, "Is it possible?" Wait, yeah. Do you mean springtails or slime mold? I guess that's a good question.
Yeah, we're going to some. He was talking about slime mold.
Ah.
Can you have two of the same species? Like one would be orange and one purple? I don't know. Like
all of mine have been pretty relative until they get nasty. Once they start going bad is when they get dark brown.
Okay. That's when they so that one that's like black, that's just the color that it is, right? Yeah. So that's not like dying off or anything. It's just just a black slime mold. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and different species, like the same species can have like different individuals can be slightly differently colored. And I know with some species the color can change depending on the like environmental conditions, like the pH. So if like the pH is higher, it might be slightly more orange versus if it's lower, it might be more yellow, something like that.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Now in this dish, what is keeping them from climbing out? Like I see, there's like a totally clear ring around. Oh, I'm looking at my screen. I'm doing the mouse, but not on the right screen. There's like a totally clear lip all the way around here.
Right. So that's just a clear food storage container.
Yeah.
And what I've done actually is put a ring of copper tape there just below. You can kind of see the copper color below that clear ring.
Okay.
And so the slime mold doesn't like to climb on copper. And so that helps keep all of the slime mold on the paper towel instead of climbing up the walls and onto the lid and everything.
Crazy.
It will, I mean, it will climb all over the walls and all over the lid if you let it. And then it just becomes a huge mess trying to clean that up when you're changing the paper or anything like that.
I imagine.
The copper was a really good sort of thing that I tried. I happen to have some copper tape around, and I know, like, slugs and things don't like copper, like, slugs, slime. Sure, let me try it. And it turns out to be an effective barrier for slime mold. So.
And you can get that in like a garden center or a hardware store.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever. That's a really elegant solution to a problem. So I like that. Now, are you feeding it this much? This looks almost covered in oats.
Yeah, so that's probably that's about the time when I would want to change the substrate. So when I change the substrate, I'll take like half of the paper towel and start a new culture from that half, and then usually just either use the other half to dispose of it, or turn it into kind of the dry form, which we can talk about later.
Okay.
But this is about the point where I would want to just split it up. It's about as big as I like to get it in there.
Okay. All right. But how do you separate it? You said the oats get really gross.
Well, so I actually just put 2 halves of the paper towel in there. So I cut the paper towel before I put it in. Then I just put 1 half of the paper towel and use that.
So the oats just kind of come along with it, the oats that are there?
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of roll it up. And one of my friends calls it doing the mafia carpet roll. So you just kind of roll up the paper towel and then place it on a new piece of paper towel. And then the slime mold will kind of crawl out. And once it's out, I'll remove the old paper towel roll.
That's so wild. So time-lapse pets. Only on this channel, like, would we have this discussion with these weird.
I didn't believe it would happen the first time I tried it. I didn't think it would climb out of the towel until the next morning, and I was mind blown.
It's just out. It's just out looking for new things.
Yeah.
So even though it's eating, like, it's got a obviously plentiful food source, it's still looking. It's still probing.
Always, yes. I mean, it's always, if you don't feed it in a day, it'll get noticeably unhappy. Like it'll be like, strongly probing at the sides. It'll be like sort of forming structures. Like it's not happy.
That is wild. See, and then it's just a single cell. So I would probably be messing with it to see. I would want to do all kinds of weird experiments to see what I could get it to do. Climb up. Like, you make me want to put a penny in the middle with a oat and then suspend something to see if it would like drop down onto it.
Yeah.
Can it sense?
People have done experiments with water, so they'll have like a tub of water, and they'll have the slime mold up on a platform on one side and a piece of food up on a platform on the other side, and the slime mold will actually sort of travel through the water, under the water, up to the platform and eat, to get the food on the other side.
So it can detect the food without touching it.
No idea. Not sure how that works.
Okay. My thought was like the things that I have seen is that it kind of grows out almost in a spiral pattern or kind of at random at first and then latches on to where that food source is.
Right.
Crazy. So yeah, weird.
So this photo is one of my is the species that I use for feeding the springtails. So this is Physarum polycephalum, and it is an incredibly fast grower. So I also keep a few other slime molds that I found locally, but this one just blows them out of the water in terms of how quickly it moves and how quickly it grows. All my other slimes, like they just don't grow fast enough for me to be able to use them as a food source for springtails. Like I just can't make enough of it.
So this colony right here, you could split this into like 12 or more little colonies, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you could pick out an individual oat and start a new slime mold colony, a new slime mold culture from it.
Wow. Okay, so this would be like if you gave it a little time, you'd have almost an infinite springtail supply of food, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I have two. I basically always keep two tubs like this of slime mold going in order to feed my springtails. And it's basically just, as far as culturing, it's basically just damp paper towel on the bottom,
yeah,
and then feed it oats. So like thick cut, you don't want quick oats or anything like that, but like the thick cut, the thick cut oats that aren't processed or anything. That's basically what it goes for. And
I use like steel coat
Yeah.
Let's put you back up here. Hold on just a second. Let's stop sharing. Remove. There we go. What is this? This is just, you're showing us the wet paper towel?
Wet paper towel and a Tupperware food storage container.
Yeah.
That's it. So you're just letting it go hog wild. Like this thing could be all over the lid. Where's your copper tape, bro?
I let it go wild, dude. It's fun.
All right. 2 different schools. I like the copper tape. Okay, that's the inoculant right there. That's the slime mold starter pack. That stamp, or it's like a stamp of acid. Is that the brown acid that I've heard about? Don't do drugs, kids, unless you want to. Let's see. Namoon, that's definitely Scream symbiote. He's creating venom. I'm positive that they looked at at slime molds when they made venom. Okay. Let's see. That doesn't have the name on it. That's kind of good. Okay. All right. Here we have this thing. This is just pretty.
Go back.
Nah.
Look at them cute. Dude, just look at that.
See, I thought these were like the slime mold's feet down here, but they're like at a fountain. They're like basically at a fountain eating. Yeah. So this is a solid thing.
Slime magically falling from the sky. Can you imagine just being like this little springtail? There's this, food just falling from the sky. Like, oh yes, please, thank you.
Well, I was thinking more from the other perspective of the slime mold being like, let's go look for food. You guys, what is happening?
Oh, that tickles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because basically that's like their toenail. It's just eating their toenails. Basically, it's totally disposable. This part here is what has me like looking like the slime mold's going to get revenge. Like it's going to come down and just smother these springtails.
The slime mold will get revenge sometimes. I have seen the slime mold basically completely covering the springtail, and I'm pretty sure the springtail doesn't always survive.
Probably not. Probably a big fat one comes out at the end, like with powers. So, isn't that here too? Oh, Wally showed up.
But the springtail, as far as I can tell, they basically sort of pierce the slime mold with their mouth parts, and they suck out kind of the fluids from the inside.
Oh, that goo you were talking about that kind of spills out when you cut it. Okay.
Exactly.
That makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. So, what's the coping?
The springtails are so funny. They are some of the least active springtails I've ever seen. They'll just find a piece, like a strand of slime, and stick their mouth in it, and they'll just sit there for hours on end, just slurping up the slime. No new movement at all.
This is how weird I know myself and my friends are. Is everyone on here is like, I need to get them and watch them for hours, just sit and suck on slime mold.
These guys will just sit for a whole day.
Yeah, but I know there's people that will like, yep, let's watch that. Let's watch that happen. And they're right here. They're right here. I mean, there's more of them, but this is a special kind of person. Yeah, like Spike, the 5 of you that are here better like this video. Oh yeah, to everybody that's been on my show, Ben, I want to apologize that StreamYard is going to be every ad you see on YouTube for about forever. At least 4 years, okay? Or 3 years, at least 3 years. I just love that this is just a water fountain for them. Now, what is the texture of this? Does it feel like a noodle as much as it looks like a noodle?
No, it's you can't really handle it. Like it just kind of dissolves. Like if you press it, it's like some sort of liquid with a thin film on the outside.
Like algae.
So like a membrane. Okay. So there's no way to really feel it without destroying it.
Right.
Okay. I'm not gonna try. All right. See, this is just cool. This looks like that he wants revenge. This looks like he's looking for a springtail. The springtails haven't really found it yet. Because I imagine they just pony up, and this is just a swarm then, right? Once the springtails get...
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah, if you go back to, I think, like the first photo you showed or something, there's just like a pure ring of springtails around this slime mold. Just, hundreds of them.
Not this one.
That one.
Yeah, there we go. Look at them all. Crazy.
And it's funny, so the slime mold initially sends out its tendrils, and it'll usually go into the substrate a bit, and the springtails will be kind of all spread out along the edges of the slime mold feeding. But as they feed, the slime mold sort of shrinks inwards, and so the springtails kind of follow the tendrils as they shrink inwards, and so you end up with just like this huge mound of springtails in the middle, all trying to get at the last little bits of the slime mold.
As the slime mold tries to escape.
Yeah.
With all of its faculties. I gotta go. I'm as fascinated by this is a hard picture because I'm fascinated by the springtails. I'm fascinated by whatever this friggin' hockey puck is in here. Fascinated by the barrier that you've got. This 3D printed job with the magnets. Like, this is just one of those things. Like, I'm nerding out so hard on this. The oats.
Lots of experimentation just to get everything working the way working well. Lots of just to make it work smoothly.
Yeah.
I first started trying this back in maybe June of last year. That was when I first found these orange springtails, and I think at that point no one really knew how to culture them, and so I was out collecting them. And so I was out looking, just trying to find little orange specks. Like, you can't really necessarily tell for sure that it's a springtail, so I was just, collecting orange specks. And so when I got them back in, one of the orange specks turned out to be a little tiny speck of slime mold. And they were like in its dried state. And once I got it in with the rest of the springtails, it woke up and started doing its slime mold thing. And I noticed that the springtails seemed to be interested in it, and they were sitting at it, almost like they were feeding on it. So I was like, I wonder if there's something here. And so I did, I started doing a little bit of searching, and I found a paper from not too long ago. It was maybe like 2016, where some researchers had experimented with giving slime mold to some different springtails from this same family. And they had a lot of success, being able to keep those springtails using that as food. And so that sort of started the whole fascination with slime mold for me. And I started trying to find a good slime mold that I could use as a feeder, and eventually managed to get this particular species.
Now, is this local, or is this something that you had to look for?
So this is actually from the UK. Well, I don't know where it's from originally, but the guy I got it from was in the UK. And I don't know if he's doing it now, but at the time he was basically he would just send out slime mold to anyone in the world for free. He just had asking, hey, can you send me some slime mold? And he would send some out. It took me like 5 or 6 weeks to get here, but I got it.
That's so crazy. I mean, if it's that easy to propagate, like, why would you really charge people shipping? Like, what's the point of charging someone?
Right.
Like, I guess you could. Like, if people are going to pay for it, they're going to pay for it. But because you're going through the trouble, right? You're going through the trouble to get it propagated and all of that. But you'd have a customer once, unless there was a catastrophe, you'd have them one time, and that was it.
But yeah, it turns out that shipping slime mold is surprisingly easy. So you would think, you have to ship it on like, maybe a Petri dish or like, wet paper towel, something like that.
Yeah.
But there's actually it has a natural defense against drying or against dry conditions. And so if you let it dry out, over the course of a few days, it actually forms what's called a sclerotium. So it sclerotizes. I don't know exactly how you say that word, but it's basically it completely dries up. So it just turns into like kind of a hard sort of flaky, dry film. Like if you have it on the paper towel, it's be kind of like a crust on the paper towel.
Oh, like that. Okay.
And so, right, and that's easy to ship. It's it can survive hot, it can survive cold, as long as the envelope doesn't get wet. If it gets wet, there may be some slime mold leaking the envelope at some point. But so the sclerotia is just like the dry form of the plasmodia, and then once you receive it, you can just put the sclerotia on some wet paper towel or something, and let it wet back up. And it'll basically revive and turn into a plasmodium, and you've got a live plasmodium again.
I love the word plasmodium.
All right, we got to show the progress.
Yeah, let's see the progress. Okay,
I'm telling you. wish I had like a macro laptop camera.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's
Oh,
starting to grip it, bro.
They got a good grip.
Already on them.
Or he's got a good grip. I'm gonna say this is the male slime mold.
The grip reaper.
So is it related to Stacy Buttress? Stacy Buttress? Is this related to
I don't know what that is.
Sandy with the science? Sandy,
I'll Google it.
Who's Stacy Buttress?
Stacky.
How does it look if you shine a black light on it? Oh, to any fluoresce?
It depends on the species. It'll usually look a little bit different. It doesn't really fluoresce strongly, but you can sometimes, if it's like a hard to see species, like if it's a white species on like white paper towel, sometimes shining a black light on it can help make it a little bit easier to see.
Okay, cool. What do you got on Stacky Brutus?
Black mold. I don't believe it is. I'd have to do a little bit of deeper research, but as far as my research has gone, the only respiratory illness or issues you'll get from slime mold is from pre-existing allergies to fungus and similar things. Like, obviously, if you're allergic to it, you're going to have adverse effects. But seeing as if you're just a normal, healthy person, you're have at it. Bathe in it if you want.
Snort it. Don't snort it. Don't snort it.
Say if you want.
Yeah, so black mold it would be a type of fungus, and these aren't particularly related to fungus at all. So it's not. It sort of falls under the same area of science. It's like for mycology, mycologists kind of generally study those sorts of things, but they're not particularly related to fungus.
The worst experience I've had from slime yet is like letting I have a culture over there that's just disgusting. If I opened it and took a whiff, it smells awful, but
yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, once the slime mold, or once you have like a big culture that starts going bad, oh man, it's
pungent and it's like a thick, gassy smell. But I have bad allergies and I've never gotten sick from it.
So wait. So what do you mean by go bad? Because
it's
eating moldy oats. So oh god, he's going to get it.
Yeah, so I think what's happened to me is I would culture them in the food storage containers, but they were sealed without any vents. And I think it would have like sort of gas buildup, like maybe too much CO2 or it used up the oxygen or something. And the plasmodium would just kind of start dying and rotting in there. And oh man, it stunk.
So this is a different species of slime. But
do you just have it in a dime bag? Is that what just happened?
How it dies.
Okay. Is that recoverable or is that that's
over
over with?
I mean, maybe if you tried hard enough, possibly, probably not. But it just kind of gets nasty. The oats in there will get moldy and get a little bit of fungus on them. But aside from that, it's just a pungent, gassy smell. And yes, I keep it in dime bags. Are you crazy?
So that's ready to go. So that's ready to re-inoculate.
Yep.
Those little tabs. Okay, that's too funny. See how cool I am? I know what a dime bag is.
That's how it came from France. I was actually scared I was going to get like passwords at my house. I was terrified, man.
You got an FDA agent like undercover as your mailman. Like, you're not Joe. You're not my normal guy, sir.
Yeah, there's a surprisingly big slime scene in France for whatever reason. I have no idea why it's so big in France, but there's companies that sell slime mold, and there's Facebook groups dedicated to growing slime mold. French Facebook groups. It's a big thing in France for some reason. Comparatively, I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, it's just a tiny little community. But in comparison with anywhere else, it's huge. But in comparison to the slime scene in the U.S.,
I'm sure the people in Thailand are like, can you believe that Americans are paying this much for roly-poly? Like, are you serious?
How long can they last in a dormant state when they dry out? So I've got some of the first batch Ben sent me. God knows how long ago now. Easily 4 or 5, maybe 6 months now. And I just revived one.
Yeah, from what I've read, it's best to use it within about a year, but it can last up to 2 or 3 years. It just might start to get a little harder to wake up at that point.
Okay, so it's got less viable material, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like it dies off in stages, maybe that Okay, I got you. That's see, and we're all learning. We're hypothesizing. This is science, you guys. While we're watching the show, while we're filming, it's science. Is it that bad? Does it smell that bad that gave you that cough?
What?
You
No,
just
I
had
said,
like you
I
were
said
like face
fun stuff.
Okay. I thought you had a cough from like huffing slime mold.
No, I hate to say it, but I almost kind of appreciate the smell.
Yeah,
Weird, it's like weird, clean.
it is. It is. It's hard to describe, but it's like a clean, almost. It's hard to describe.
It's
Yeah, like
really,
a non-bad culture,
really
like an active. Yeah, like an active culture that hasn't gone bad. I mean, it has a distinctive smell, but it's not unpleasant. So I think some people don't like it, but I don't
like
find
it.
it
I like
So it
it.
could be a new Febreze. Like it could be a new Febreze flavor.
bad.
Once it gets bad,
I
then
got it.
I'll tell you.
Like slime mold. It could be in a nice font. Like I put on the thumbnail, and
Yeah, I totally buy it just to have it.
yeah, right. Moco de Gorilla Gel. Yep, Frank. Now we know what you use for hair products.
I was gonna Google it, but that scares me a little bit.
It's literally like gorilla snot. Moco de Gorilla is like gorilla booger.
Moldy old France.
Yeah. Or it could be, I guess it could be slang wise into something else a little more disgusting. For your hair, I guess. Not judging anybody yet. Moldy old France. Good times. That is weird that it would be a French. I don't know if that's weird or not, but yeah, slime mold.
I think there's some like prominent French researchers in slime mold or something that have kind of kickstarted the community there or something. I'm not really sure.
They're like fashion designers / slime mold
something like that.
researchers. They're just hipster slime mold researchers in France. There's got to be somebody that's like inoculated cheese with slime mold to make it, because France has that cheese that has that like live maggots in it.
Right.
Yeah, which is no, they do. They like that's a thing. It's illegal now, but they still do it. Like it's like this underground maggoty cheese.
Yum.
Yeah.
Stage cheese.
They actually have a species of fly specifically that inoculates the cheese with the eggs, called a cheese fly. So, yeah, their common name is the cheese fly, and you're kind of eating the cheese that basically passed through the maggot. Like, yeah. So imagine that. Like, yeah, eat that, Justin. Maggot cheese and more cheese. Mite cheese. Oh, there is a mite cheese. Yep, there's a cheese mite as well. So humans are gross. Humans are so gross. Like, I don't think a raccoon would eat that maggot cheese.
I have cheese-covered beetles.
Cheese-covered beetles.
Big, not small beetles. Big beetles.
Like as a snack? Like you have a weird snack? Are they good? No.
Absolutely not. They're called cheese.
Right. Cheetos?
Yeah, they're cheese.
Like hot peppers. It's like hot peppers, These peppers have spent millions of years developing this defense against mammals. Like spicy, it hurts them. No one's gonna no mammals are gonna eat our fruit. And we come along, oh, we love this.
It covers the taste of rotten meat, so you gotta have it. It covers the taste of your rotten food, so it's good times. Even Justin has limits to what he'll eat. Yeah. Now we know what it is. I hate maggots so much. Oh my! If they get in my garbage can, like
they're cute.
I'll pour vinegar in there, whatever it takes to just murder them. That smell, like when you walk up to your garbage can and because you can smell the maggots. Like, oh my God, I could. It's making me gross right now. I heard of a very cheese, but I can't find anything about it. It's a type of guano cheese. Bat poop cheese. Oh, it's rice pods. Just put bat poop in there and you're good to go. That's another episode. It's a whole other episode. We did that a couple months ago. Me and Kevin. It was really good. So what's the difficulty? Is the hardest part, how do you dispose of it when you're...
So it depends if it's if you're culturing like a wild slime, Like you don't really have to be all that careful. Like if it's native to your area, just kind of throw it away, or even let it out in the yard or whatever. It's not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
But the Physarum polycephalum, that I got from the UK, and it's sort of been laboratory bred and everything. It's probably best not to let that out into the wild, just in case.
Yeah, sure.
So typically what I do is I just have like a 32-ounce deli cup, and I'll put all the old paper towels and all the old slimy oats and everything in there. And then once it fills up, I'll just toss it into the oven and let it bake for a while.
Okay. That's a good idea too. How do you prevent escape with, as far as the spores, when you have your fruiting bodies? Obviously, you have them. Like, how would you? Is there anything you need to do?
A lot of it is just not letting them dry out to the point where the spores will disperse. I think, like if you dispose of it before the fruiting bodies have fully dried.
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. What would happen if two different slime molds interact?
I think one would probably eat the other, or they would try at least. Like they would sort of try and engulf each other and probably try and digest each other.
We need to make that video. We need to take a tab of each on the corner of one paper towel, opposite, and then oats in the middle.
If they're the same species, they might actually combine. So, like in that initial video with the black plasmodium, you were mentioning how it split apart into two parts.
Yeah.
If those move around and then come back into contact, they'll actually rejoin each other and form, basically form, a single plasmodium again.
That is so wild.
I'm not entirely sure how that works if you have multiple individuals from the same species. So if they're like multiple individuals with different genetics, I'm not entirely sure if they can combine. And if they do, does that just mean that they have there's a single cell, but it has multiple nuclei with different genetic material? I don't know exactly how that works.
We'd have to ask somebody in French, and I don't think we speak enough French to find that out. So that's where you're mixing French and Latin, and you forget it. Forget it. I'm out. Slime death match. Yeah, you could put a tab of that black one in with the tab of that yellow one. That's easy to see what would happen.
Right. Yeah, they definitely wouldn't combine. They would. The yellow would easily win. The black one is much slower.
So it basically outcompetes.
Yeah.
Like the problem that you have with mixing dwarf white isopods with any other isopods, they just outcompete them for resources. Yeah. Okay. You think the yellow one would win? Yeah, I think you're right, Circa. Did you guys bring Circa? I don't recognize that name.
Yeah, I know him from the Springtail community.
Yep.
Okay.
Discord.
Cool. I was expecting more Springtail people to show up, honestly.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the Discord at least.
I didn't give you guys much notice. I apologize. It's been a wild 6 months for me, so I do what I can. So the only reason I was ahead of the game last week is I got confused and made the thumbnail late, assuming it was that week's episode, and it was not. It was the next week's episode. Having a little boxing ring type arena, set up a time-lapse camera. That would be fun. How long does it take it to get to the point where it that yellow one to where it covers the bottom of that little?
So if I start with just a small little bit of the dry form, the sclerotia, if I start with maybe a 10 millimeter, 1 centimeter square, within about a week to 10 days, it would be at the point of the big culture that I showed under ideal conditions.
Wow. So that thing, the effects for it on your springtail colonies are explosive.
Right. Yeah, it's great for the springtail colonies. And I can harvest as much as I need for feeding to the springtails without any problem.
So just wait 7 to 10 days and then it's good to go, and then you're ready. Have you experimented with other foods for the slime molds, or are oats just the most convenient thing?
Yeah, so it depends on the slime mold. For the Physarum, the oats are just the easiest thing. It'll eat basically anything that you feed to a springtail. It would eat. So the yeast, the spirulina, any sort of grains the rice or anything like that. It would likely eat any of that.
Okay.
But the oats are just super easy. and it makes a good way to transfer the slime mold out of there into the springtail container. So you cover you feed oats to the slime mold, and then you pick up the slime covered oats and transfer that to the springtail container.
Okay.
So for this species, for the black species, it's a little more picky. The best thing that I found for it is shiitake mushroom powder. It'll sometimes eat other things, but the shiitake mushroom powder is the thing that it seems to go for the most consistently.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. I just made some shiitake mushroom powder from dried shiitakes.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, in a little spice.
But yeah, different wild species definitely have different food preferences. I have one of my wild species. The only thing I've really found that it goes for is fish flakes, for whatever reason. Like I've tried all of the normal other foods, and it doesn't really go for much of anything. But fish flakes, it'll cover fish flakes in an instant.
That's funny. Fish flakes are a good go-to for a lot of things. So,
yeah.
Like your springtails. Yeah. Like if you don't have the slime mold, just directly feed them the fish flakes, and you're good to go.
Yeah, a lot of springtails. So the springtails that feed on slime molds, they seem to be mostly slime mold specific, and they might feed on some other things. But as far as things that are easily culturable, it's really limited to about slime molds. So if you gave them like normal springtail foods, they can't really eat that sort of food.
So they have to eat that liquid, right. That plasmodium,
right.
Juice.
Yeah, it's mostly the neonarids that do that. So the small springtails with all the bumps, all the tubercles.
Okay.
Typically your slime feeders.
Wild. That's too funny. So that orange species, you can't really keep it without slime.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's one of the big differences between that species and the other orange species that are kept in the hobby. Because the other orange species, you can give them any of the normal springtail foods and they'll go to town on it. These guys, you have to give them the slime mold.
So fun. Like that's just neat to learn that symbiotic. Well, I guess not symbiotic, but parasitic relationship there.
I have found them in. So I'll take just rotting wood from my yard and kind of look at it under my stereo microscope. And I have found those orange springtails feeding on something in the rotten wood, and it didn't look like there was any slime mold present. So they're feeding on something in there, but I'm not sure exactly what. So it's not necessarily only slime molds, but that's the only thing I've been able to find that I can easily culture in order to give them.
Okay, so there's something there, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're not just like if the slime mold is gone, they're not going to die out. They're going to find probably some other kind of actual mold in the wood.
In a culture environment, not necessarily, unless you have actively rotting wood and that sort of thing.
Right, which is not many people keep that in their house. So, Circa's thing. Do you use? So Circa, we went over this a little earlier, but this is a paper towel, damp paper towel with oats, then a copper tape, a copper metal tape to keep it from climbing the walls. And then there is a cover. Do you ventilate that? You were talking about the vents. Do you ventilate it now with the copper tape?
So I ventilate it now. So I use just like maybe like an inch hole and cover it with some surgical tape.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's like porous.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that just lets the like some air exchange happen, so it doesn't build up the have CO2 build up or whatever the problem like that is.
You got to get some metal micro mesh. Be the first person to use it in culture.
Yeah.
And you'll be jammed. You'll be worshipped.
Yeah, I've tried the metal mesh.
Shots fired.
No. I don't really like it. I much prefer the nylon mesh. So I have some of the really fine, like the 35 micron nylon mesh. That's what I use for springtails and all that stuff. So
each to their own. That's fine. I think I've had a lot of success with the nylon mesh as well. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, that's what happens when you show up late, Circa. I don't know what to tell you. Set an alarm on your phone. I'm teasing. Don't do that for me. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other questions that I have. What are some threats that would be posed to your culture? Like, what are things that you need to avoid?
So depending on light is often a common trigger for causing the slime mold to fruit. Which
Okay.
a lot of times when you're keeping the slime mold, you don't want it to fruit because that's basically the end of its life. Like once it fruits, that slime mold is done. And so light is a common trigger. Heat can be a trigger. If you get it too hot, that can cause problems. So the strain that I use, the Physarum polycephalum, it's actually fairly resistant to fruiting normally. But I've noticed that if I if I forget to turn on my AC and the temperature up here gets to about 80 Fahrenheit or so, it'll tend to fruit.
Okay. Now, when it does fruit, can it like fertilize? I know we talked about like the two different spores need to get together.
Right.
Can it get together with itself? Like
possibly. So I haven't got a conclusive answer on this. I think it might vary depending on species a little bit as well. But I think in some cases it can, but in some cases you might need spores from multiple parents.
Okay.
And
so if you
I sort of vaguely know that I've sort of vaguely heard something about like some slime molds have like some incredibly complex like sort of gender system almost with like hundreds of genders where like only very specific individual or like spores germinated spores are compatible with each other to combine or something. I'm not entirely sure how that works, to be honest.
That's probably what keeps them from just covering the earth. So so they grow that fast and are that easy technically to breed? Like that's crazy.
I'm surprised we don't find more of them in the wild.
Yeah.
I barely find them, and I actively look like almost weekly.
Okay. I was gonna think that it was just like we are not looking because I know that springtails like freaking Ryan is finding species every other day, like some new species. So I don't even know how he sees that well. Like I would never be able to find the globular ones that he's got. So I think I still have some of those globular ones. I'm not real sure. So they're just so tiny.
Yeah, so one method that a lot of like researchers use in order to find slime molds. So instead of actually like looking for the slime molds themselves out in the wild, they'll collect various pieces of like organic debris from a forest or something.
Okay.
So one common way is to take like a little like postage stamp size piece of bark from a live tree, like like an oak or something with some gnarly tree, and then you make what's called a moist chamber. So you basically take it and place it in just like a small container, like a jelly cup or a petri dish or anything like that, and put some moist paper on the bottom and put that in there. And then you just close the lid and leave it for a couple of weeks. And there's going to be slime mold spores that are naturally present on that piece of debris, and they'll do their thing and eventually form a plasmodium and then fruit. And you'll eventually find either the active plasmodium doing its thing in there, or you'll find the fruiting bodies.
Kind of awesome.
That's
awesome. You could just do that.
Yeah, that's how I found. I have I don't know, maybe 3, 4, or 5 different species of wild slime mold that from this area. That's how I've got those, is from making these moist chambers and then isolating the plasmodium from the moist chamber once I see it in there.
It's just so cool. Like it's so funny. Like I always have to disassociate myself from my past self. Like my childhood, I would be afraid to know those things. Like trying to talk about those things with anyone would get the crap beat out of you, right? When I was a kid. So like I'm almost 50. I don't know where you're at, but like that's
not too far behind.
Yeah. Now it's like awesome to be a nerd, and part of me is so jealous of this generation that just gets to be a nerd and embrace all of their stuff and be able to find other nerds like on Discord or whatever 5,000 websites there are, Reddit, whatever. Wad's here. How you doing, Major Wad?
Yeah, it would be so much harder to be like a slime mold, at least as a hobbyist, like a slime mold, like to be interested in slime molds or springtails or any of these niche hobbies. Like that would be so much harder. Like the 90s, before you have the explosion of the internet.
I mean, even just before regular internet and not just all the social media, like it would be so hard to find.
Right.
It's making some progress.
Yep. Looks like it just about covered them all.
Yep.
In an hour. We just hit the hour mark.
Nice.
So we are talking about slime molds, sir. Can't be here for long, but I'll stop by for a few minutes. You're going to learn a lot about slime molds. We're not going to answer any of your questions because we probably already did. So, but I appreciate you stopping by. You're a busy dude. What was the question I had? I asked you about if they can self fertilize. I'd be real interested to know that because I would. So if you got this was what I was coming back to. So say you get that is that black? Let's say that black one is from France. I don't remember if you said or not, but let's say that black one is from France, and you got a little tab of the black one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you have to know? I don't understand how it would work. Like you would have to get a tab of another slime mold to propagate them, to get them both to fruit and actual propagate, like to make new ones.
Yeah, you'd have to find another individual of that same species. So another black one basically.
Or just keep it perpetually from fruiting.
Yeah, right.
So, and keeping it from fruiting is keeping it damp, keeping it kind of cool, like room temperature, and keeping it fed.
Yeah, more or less.
Or moist, fed, and comfortable.
But I mean, there's always a risk that it is going to fruit. So it's always good to have to keep some of the sclerotia as backup. So once you have the dry form, the sclerotia, you can cut it up. So if you have a couple inch square of the sclerotia, you can cut off just use some scissors and cut off like your little 1 centimeter square and use that, and then you still have all the rest of it as backup.
And Austin, you had like 10 squares inside that little baggie, right?
Oh, you don't even want to see how much of this crap I got, dude.
I mean, I believe it.
This season, I got just a stack.
Right? I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in a couple months, Sandy.
Here's just a few that I've made of the sclerotia. These I haven't even cut up yet. But just some of the dry form.
It looks like you have a new baby and you weren't paying attention to its face and it got you real good. It looks like baby shit. That's exactly what it looks like. Or like really old man that can only eat soup. Like that's the thing. Don't ask why I would say that. That's so funny. And we're excited. I'm excited that you have that. It's weird. It's a weird excitement. I'm always shocked at the things that I'm just like blown away by and super into when I do this show. Now it can go underwater, and it can travel to find food underwater that it's not obviously not touching.
Yeah,
so it senses the food somehow.
Yeah, there's a few species that actually live underwater. That actually they do come to the surface to fruit because you can't really disperse the spores underwater. But as far as the Plasmodium, it actively lives underwater and sort of eats and feeds underwater.
Wow, freshwater?
I think so. But I think it's certainly where I think there's only like a couple of species that do that.
So weird. I mean, I guess it's not that weird. It's life, right? It's just how life is. They fill a void. There's something there to fill a void or be the void.
Right.
So these are primarily food for other people, and they're detrivores. They're breaking down organic matter.
I would say they're primarily eating other microbes. So not necessarily the detritus itself, but the things feeding on the detritus.
So they're predators.
Somewhat, yeah.
That's wild. All right. I mean, I guess they would be, right? Like amoebas, all those paramecium, all that stuff is basically predators.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. So fascinating. But you're not seeing that except on a micro level. Now, you mentioned a stereo microscope. Is that one of the ones you like handheld? You hook it up to your phone or whatever?
No, so it's the ones that has basically two eyepieces and two completely separate optical paths. So there's actually two. So you're actually seeing two different viewpoints. So you get the stereo image of the magnified object. So you actually make out the you have depth perception and everything.
And you're taking that out into the field with you?
No, I just have it here.
Okay.
right back here.
I have some kind of somewhere around here. I have a box of cameras that I bought for this show that I've never used. But like the endoscopic camera, I've got this microscope thing that is like a handheld thing that sticks to your phone and it has a light and it sucks. I tried to take pictures of ants. I think the ants were too fast. So then I tried to do springtails and I couldn't get it focused. So now I use that stupid clip-on lens for your phone. But what did you use to get the picture of the fungus, the bodies, the flowering bodies?
So I have like a macro setup. So I have a camera with a macro lens and all that.
It works really well, I have to tell you.
Thank
That's
you.
Ryan Pavey level good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like you'd have to get like the one from the lab, you would have to get other ones to get it to actually breed.
Right,
So
right.
very controlled situation, probably.
Yeah, in some cases, so I've read that like the yellow one, the fast yellow one that I keep to feed to springtails, I've read that you can get it to combine with itself, and form a new plasmodium. I haven't tried it. It's typically a little difficult to get it to do that, sort of intentionally. But there are some techniques that you can try to do that. It's not something I've experimented with yet. I did grab. So if you go back to that first photo, the one growing on my house, the black one, the black raspberry growing on my house, I actually collected a lot of the spores from that. So I'm actually gonna try a number of different setups to try and get that to germinate to see if I can get that species of plasmodium going.
I feel like there's so many cool experiments you could do with this that's so replenishable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say. I don't know what I want to say. Like my brain is saying disposable, but I would say easily replaceable.
Right.
So
yeah, I was just watching a presentation the other day. It was on YouTube from some slime mold researcher. He said he had a student that was doing some research on growing the slime mold in large quantities in order to use as to make biofuel. So basically, turn the slime mold biomass into biofuel.
That's fascinating. Like that, there's so many different people working on so many different projects now for that kind of stuff. To think that we could turn a slime mold in something that most of us have never even noticed before,
right?
Or you hear about it and it's just like, oh yeah, that's interesting, whatever. And then to think that they could turn a single cell organism into some kind of fuel is crazy to me. I would think it would be cool if they did some kind of thing where they kind of found a way to let it pass. Oh my God, what's the word? Like info, like computer style, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
Or I know that they're using it to see like efficiency things, like we talked about, like the Japanese subway earlier. They're using it to work out like efficiency pathways for mapping things.
Yeah, there was an interesting experiment that I saw. I think it was another Japanese thing, where they made a slime mold wearable. So they made a little culture container that you could wear on your wrist. It's almost like a watch. And if you kept the conditions in the container right, for the slime mold to flourish, it would form an electrical connection between the two sides. So the plasmodium would be in there, and it would form an electrical connection from one side to the other, and it would like turn on a light or something like that. And you could tell, and there would like this association between, you're caring for this organism and a light coming on or something like that. It was kind of like and they demonstrated that the subject seemed to form an attachment to the slime mold under those conditions or something like that.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was an interesting experiment.
My audience knows I love fun stereotypes. That's 100% Japanese people. There's exactly no question. They like to wear stuff like organisms on themselves all the time. It's a thing. Yeah, Jedi, I was going to say, I think I read something about a zero gravity experiment that was done, but I don't know if I'm positive they've probably tried it. They did the spiders, right? So, and we're terrified that it took the spiders no time at all to become better predators in zero gravity. So it took them like a day, and the spiders were like, "Oh, this is really kind of awesome." Their catch times were like within 2 days. Their catch times were like 20% faster or something. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Do you know what kind of spider it was?
It's some kind of orb weaver. So I don't know for sure what type, but you can look it up. They took 10 or 15 specimens up and within like a day or two. At first, their webs were all ridiculous, but it took them like a day to figure out, and their webs were like perfect. There was no like saggy bits. It was just perfect tension lines.
Interesting.
And when a prey item would hit their web, it was the fastest thing ever. And you think they were using the same muscles to move zero mass, basically. So of course they'd be like ninjas. This should be in every kid's science class. I'm gonna see if I can do something for my buddy's science class that we're getting him started with roly polies next year. He's teaching science in like underprivileged schools, and they just crushed a robotics competition, like a grade school level robotics competition.
Nice.
So yeah, it was really neat. I think
growing a slime mold would be. I think it would be an amazing thing to do in like an educational context.
Yeah, it really takes
all of it. Do the experiments and all that stuff.
Agar cups for food. You don't have to feed it whatsoever.
Well, I have the agar petri dishes. So, but it would like the whole thing is agar. Would it just like? What would even there?
Well, I've just put the sclerosia paper on the agar.
Okay.
Left it there for a good 2 to 3 weeks sealed, and it just continuously. It grows relatively slow compared to feeding it oats.
Okay.
But it's almost like a little culture experiment. Actually, we can give one away if there's still enough viewers in here.
Yeah, who wants a slime mold?
It's
gonna come in like literally an envelope, like.
It's gonna look like you ordered dabs or something.
That would actually be really funny. That should be really funny with little like, you gotta get the little stamps, the little stickers for Stella's.
It's funny. I'll send out some of the sclerotia to someone, and it's literally just a first class envelope, and they're like, oh, do you have tracking for it? I'm like,
nope.
It's a letter.
Someone messaged me today, and they're like, "It hasn't came yet, man." I'm like, "Well, it's an envelope, and you didn't pay for it, so."
Yeah, it's a stamp. It's got a stamp on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, Hunter Castro wants one.
Color.
How do we give it away? What are we doing?
Best kisser.
Oh shit! I don't know how you test that. That's me. Send it over my way, buddy.
That's a good one, man. I don't know. Ryan usually picks my questions for me.
He does. Yeah. It's got to be. Let's say it's something that we already talked about. See who was paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they taste like? How about that one? Who remembers what they taste like?
Dare me to find out.
I mean, we know the rumor of what it tastes like, right? Oh, my Facebook is blowing up right now, apparently. What do you got? What do you got, Austin? Is that the question?
I think Ben, you picked the question.
That sounds like a good question to me.
Actually,
looks like someone already got it.
Yeah, Hunter was down.
He won.
He wants it really bad.
Hunter won.
He or she. I know a male and a female hunter. So.
Would you like pink, blue, or purple? Yes, I know they're all girly colors, but that's what
tastes like regret. What's up, Reed?
I think I have an orange over there too.
Yeah, what color do you want, Hunter? You're the big winner.
And you'll get the Physarum polycephalum, same species me and Ben have been talking about.
The yellow one? Okay.
It's an aggressive little specimen. I love it.
Now, any springtails will eat these, right? It's not like...
Yeah.
Okay.
In my experience, they don't really.
Really?
I've tried it with a number of my other springtails, and very few of them showed any effect at all.
I've dropped an oat into the lilacs, and I haven't tried it with any of the other ones, but it looked like they were eating it. But they could have very well been eating the oat.
The lilacs might go for it. I think some hypogastrids, however you say that, do go for slime a little bit.
Okay.
But, most of the ones that I've tried just have ignored it.
Yeah, I've been afraid to try it with the oranges because fish flake has just been so beneficial. I see that and Ryan's food has been. You need nothing else.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, Ryan's stuff is dope. Yeah, Hunter, where can he contact you? At StellaSpringtails.
Oh, he knows where to contact me. He's
Oh, okay.
got me everywhere.
There you go. He wants a blue one, and then or she, and then that's it. We're good. Very cool. Very cool. I learned a lot, and now I've told my wife. Actually, I might not tell her that I'm getting slime as a pet. So
This seems like an ask for forgiveness sort of thing.
yeah,
Not that
just like the tarantula that I hope to God it's escaped. It's been out for like 3 months now, and no sign of it. So we're hoping it just stays. It's dead or just stays in the basement. So there's.
You want a blind snake?
Do I want a blind snake? I really want to discuss the blind snake. So we're going to talk about him on the show. I want to see what their care is like, because I don't want to get something I can't take care of. And if it's just ant larva.
I'm getting 15 more Saturday.
Where are you getting? We're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about another episode. So we're going to save that. So that's wild. You got crazy stuff. Ben, Austin, stick around for a minute. I'm going to close out, and then thank you so much for coming. First off, thank you both so much for coming. Austin, thank you for bringing Ben with you.
I messaged Ben. I told him like I could go into the episode, but it wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't, because
I mean,
Ben has kind of pioneered this in the Springtail realm, 100%.
It would have been like 100% different episode.
Yeah.
So, not to talk trash on you, Austin, but this was so informative. I know if I go back and watch this episode, 90% is going to be me doing this. What? Just listening and taking mental notes.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Definitely thanks for having me on.
Well, that's why I want to talk to you. See what else you got going on, and we could do something else. So, and you said I've had 3 questions about your roof, your ceiling.
Oh yeah.
So
I live in a Quonset hut, so that's what that is.
Are you off the grid?
No, it's
Okay.
all good and everything.
That's a pretty cool way to live, I feel like.
It's I kind of live out in a heavily forested area. It's kind of a little clearing in the forest. It's my own little slice of paradise. I love it here.
I'm super jealous. And you were like a software guy. I feel like software guys are like city boys, and you're just out in the woods loving life.
Ex software guy now.
I said it was going to be 2 or 3 hours. No. I mean, we could do that, but guys, I just put in a stone patio. I put in a stone patio last year. You guys will remember that I was super exhausted from doing that last year by myself in a day. Okay. Wow. I did it shittily. So part of it where it meets my house, the corner formed like a bowl. Apparently it sunk. It formed like a bowl. I didn't grade it. I didn't grade it really at all. I just was like eyeballing it. So I got water in my basement when it stormed like a week ago. So in a panic, I pulled everything out. Sunday, had my nephews come over. I have 4 nephews that are like 16 to 24 and all strapped, all like athletes. We pulled it all out. Well, I pulled it all out waiting for them to come because I couldn't wait anymore. Pulled everything out, all the stone, all the sand, all the liner. Started to rough up the mud underneath the packed clay dirt underneath so we could grade it, so we could move it and grade it. They put it all back for me under my direction, made fun of me for not doing any more. And they left, and then I tore up about half of it to redo it because I wasn't happy with how it was. So anyway, I'm wrecked. So I'm still a wreck from Sunday. So I couldn't go 3 hours tonight, guys. I don't know about Ben and Austin, but I can't do it. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for coming. Give me a minute. So please wait in the green room thing because I want to say some more things to you privately. What do you got there? Is it the blind snake?
Well, if I can get it in the camera.
It looks too much like my tapeworm.
Oh, it's a buttworm for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tiny.
So tiny. That's an adult, right?
Yep.
It's very angry right now.
Oh, dude, they're aggressive little spaghetti noodles, I'm telling you.
He's stressed out.
They want to all day long.
So, yeah, we're going to have Austin on in July, I think, and talk about blind snakes. All right? Blind snake / tapeworm. Okay.
Buttworm.
All right, give me a minute, guys. everybody, thanks for coming. I had a great time. I don't know if you could tell. I had a great time, as usual. But I was going to this almost completely blind. So this was really fun. I learned so much. I hope I asked enough questions for you guys. That's kind of the job, right? So again, we're still working on the website thing. I haven't had a lot of time. I'm putting it together with a free site now. So don't worry about supporting the show for the website. We're going to do it free. Because I can't come up with the money to pay someone what they're worth. So if we're going to pay somebody, we want to pay them what they're worth. And that's not going to happen. I want to get the project done and out. So for everybody to use, get it started so we can do it. What else do we have coming up? We have some great episodes coming up. Next week, we're talking about, I think next week is drama week. So we're going to talk about more drama that's going on in the hobby, in the community. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but the community is my biggest thing. Yeah, that's next week. Next week we're going to do that. We're going to complain about some people. We may or may not name names. And then the 4th we have Eddie Yarl. I can't read it. We're going to talk about leeches. Okay, we're going to talk about leeches. Then we're going to have Wally on some night in between there, and then on the 25th we're going to have Russ and talk about garter snakes. We're going to do Russ again. So, and we're going to have some fun bits that we're going to do. So that's going to be good too. But next week, join me back here. It's just going to be solo. It's just going to be me trying to build a community. So let's do that together. That's you guys. So let's get involved. Let's get some suggestions. Let's have some conversations. All right. Talk to you guys later. Love you. See you next week.